बार साहब क्या हाल है?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक ठाक। आप सुनाएं।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम साहब।
जी
मैंने कहा अस्सलाम वालेकुम अबीर साहब।
अबीर साहब आज म्यूट पे कि फैमिली गैदरिंग है, लेकिन फिर भी शिरक तशरीक रख
आज रबी साहब आपके बालों को क्या हो गया है? What happened to your hairs today?
नहाने के बाद
अच्छा, मैं अभी 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 आया हूँ. I just came from work. I haven't changed. I just make a cup of tea. That's it. I'm hell tired today. Like the negative fifth day. I just come into the house and connected to
When
you.
did you start work again?
I started like 2 months or 2 weeks ago.
Mashallah.
I wasn't for 2 months.
Hmm.
And after that, I was like tired so much in the house. So I said that I want to rejoin again. So Captain gave me a permission to come again.
अच्छा mashallah.
Yeah.
What happened to your friend, yaar?
Because in Pakistan, it's like thousands of cases in one day now, discovering in one day, because they haven't taken care of so much. So now it's on peak, and they have no system to overcome on that, cope up with that. So that's the reason that now it's a worse situation in Pakistan. Maybe they will beat the record of USA. That's worst situation in Pakistan. So in Hassan's home, in their relatives, 6 people got corona. One already been died now, and 5 is in critical condition. So it's like Qayamat in Pakistan nowadays.
Is he from Karachi?
Sorry?
Is he from Karachi as well?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum guys.
Welcome, Zaid.
Assalamualaikum,
Hi guys.
sir.
Assalamualaikum Rabbi Sahab, assalamualaikum Baris bhai, assalamualaikum Abir bhai.
Long time, Zaid bhai.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Feels like ages.
Man, I'm telling you, it's just too much, man, going on, alhamdulillah.
Staying busy.
Yeah, man, just trust me, I've just been literally start painting the home today.
Really? I'm bored.
Yeah. Started painting downstairs and just in between that here and there, man, like started and then it was after an hour, it was like Jummah. I was like, all right, take a break. And now then after an hour, then take a break. I had to go pick up my daughter. Take a break. Now I'm here. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's jokes.
Is your daughter at school now?
Yeah, the reception. So you know, they were asking, so I said, you know what? There's only like 2 kids, like it's her, and there's another kid who is going to reception. Normally, it's about 30 kids. There's only 2 of them, so I went. I knew there was not going to be many kids anyway going, so I thought, you know what, might as well just send it now when they're open fully. Lockdown is much better now than when there's a lot more kids. I thought, so might as well, man.
That's great, mashallah.
Rabbi Sahab,
Hey, dude, that's all.
Rabbi Sahab, last time my brother was listening to you, and he's from Canada. He's actually doing this all radio shows from Canada. So he was saying that he want to take you for the next show. I said that I will check with Rabbi Sahab if he is.
You need to ask my secretary, please.
Or Zika. Which one?
You have to check with the Beer Sub. He's got my schedule.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, inshallah, that'll be good. I don't mind. Invite him on the show as well.
Last time he was on the show, and he was so like feeling good on this platform from Canada, because he used to be the president of EMSA, India Muslim Student Association in Canada.
Really good. That's really good.
He was like still indulgent youth of Canada. He has a main task to he has a main task for this Saskatchewan region to engage all, means whether it's Lajna or Khuddam.
That's amazing. Bring him on, yeah. Let him do a talk next time. Maybe.
Oh yeah, 100%. He will do it. Rabita, one more thing. Walaikum salam.
What did I miss?
Everything is finished.
No, just nothing bit's finished.
Yeah.
Rabita, there should be a diversity. Like once my last guest was like Sunni, and this time it was like Ahl Sunnat as well. Next show there will be like a pure English man,
yeah,
graduated from he's my captain, and he used to work for Apple as well. So hopefully 100%, I think he will join. I already discussed with him. I had a meeting in the morning, and he agreed because he used to come to our Darul Barkat Mosque as well to attend Ijtima, everything. So he knows quite well about us and this thing. And we talk about racism and all these things which is going on nowadays. There should be diversity for there should be some gender diversity as well, because I have a lot of friends all around the world. They want to come as well to Nasir understand very well this.
Gender diversity.
People from Dubai, from India, a lot of people, because I used to work in Dubai, so I have a lot of contacts, and I introduced my Jamaat to everyone. So everyone, whether it's a girl or boy or uncle, chacha, baba, everyone knows about Jamaat. Whoever contacted me, I told him first that I introduced Jamaat. So there should be diversity in gender as well.
Okay, we'll see where this is going. We don't know what direction this show is going in, but inshallah, we'll try to work towards that as well. That's all good.
Yeah, let me send you what I've done just so you can double check everything in it. I don't want to for my thing in it.
Don't worry, everything's fine. So just guys, today in today's show, as you know, I mentioned it before with we were talking about me and Mubarak just now. We were supposed to have a K-Talk, a new kind of style. It's people speaking from outside Jamaat. And Mubarak had a friend from his school friend back in the day. He was going to talk about how he knows the Jamaat and how he was introduced to the Jamaat. He was a Sunni. That was going to be good, but as you know, in Pakistan, just like we hit our peak in the UK, Pakistan as well, they're hitting their peak now. So a lot of people are actually catching COVID really quickly over there. Just pray for him, pray for his family as well, that inshallah they stay protected. I wanted to share a personal thing with you guys before we start. I told some of you already, but I'm just sharing it with everyone. My 2-year-old son, Ibrahim, he unfortunately broke his arm a few days ago. It was actually last Saturday. So I had to rush him to the hospital. He was literally just on the ground, just jumping around as usual. He came down really happy and excited. He's wearing his sweatband around his head, pretending to do yoga and Pilates. So he was jumping like a frog, and then he ended up putting too much pressure on one of his arms. Unfortunately, broke a bone in his arm. So he's in a cast right now. So I just wanted to request for prayers for little Ibi. This was him in the hospital, wearing his little child gown. But he made the most of it because he has loads of doctor toys as well. So we would say, "Oh, doctor, he's got a stethoscope." So then he'd be talking to all the doctors and laughing with them, and just to distract him from the pain. But it's amazing to note that with kids, their bones heal really quickly. So they said within 3 weeks he'll be off the cast and everything. But they said with adults, it takes up to 2 to 3 months for their bones to fully heal. So alhamdulillah, Allah has created children because also they don't have like a defense mechanism like we do. Like when we jump, we put our hands down or like we cover our faces. With children, it takes time for them to develop that. So to compensate, Allah's made their bodies recover quickly. So just keep him in your prayers as well, please. That he recovers quickly, because he's even more energetic now and he's jumping even more now than before. So it's harder to control him. So inshallah he recovers quickly. Just to go to Baraz, can you quickly go over today what happened in Khuddam, just so that we know?
For this Essen thing. You're talking about Khutbah summary, or you're talking about Khutbah summary? Yeah. So yeah, today it will be in English. I tried to make it in English. I know you guys will be happy to listen.
So English is beautiful, Baraz.
So Friday's sermon was about Badri companions named Hazrat Said bin Zaid radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He accepted Islam in the early stages. His sister was married to Hazrat Umar, while Hazrat Umar's sister, Hazrat Fatima, was married to Hazrat Said. This is the same time This is the same sister in whose house Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu heard the recitation of Quran and decided to accept Islam. Father of Hazrat Saeed radiallahu ta'ala anhu is Zaid bin Amr. He did not worship idols before Islam. He worshipped only one God. Hazrat Saeed was among the earliest companions. He was not able to participate in the Battle of Badr. The reason that he wasn't able to participate was that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had sent Hazrat Saeed and Hazrat Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu outside of Medina to keep an eye on a trading of caravan of Meccans and then report back to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once a woman named Urwa filed a wrong case against him of unjustly some land. In reply, Hazrat Saeed radiallahu ta'ala anhu said to those investigation that, do you really believe that I would commit such injustice when I have heard the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that whoever usurps even a small piece of land unjustly, his neck will be encircled with the 7 earths on the day of judgment. It is mentioned that Hazrat Saeed prayed to Allah against Urwa, following which she first lost her eyesight and then died by falling into a well in her own home. Hazrat Saeed passed away in the 50th or 51st year of Hijrah when he was over the age of 70 years. Another Badri companion was Hazrat Abdul Rahman bin Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He accepted Islam in the early age. He was also among the Ashra Mubashra and was among those 6 individuals of Shura committee who had been assigned by the responsibility of electing a Khalifa by Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu following his death. Hazrat Abdul Rahman has mentioned the details of how Abu Jahl was killed in the Battle of Badr. These details were mentioned by Hazur Anwar Ayyadul Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, and he said that I will continue to narrate about Hazrat Abdul Rahman bin Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu in the next sermon. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. How did you? What points did you get from today's khutbah, Mubarak? Like, how did what did you take from it, and what did you learn from it?
The life lesson which I get from this, that human rights basically are human rights. If a wrong allegation, if someone put allegation on you, or it's unjust, done injustice with you, so you have to be patient. You have to pray to the God, and justice will be prevail. So injustice, if anyone, like in Islam, this is the barakat of dua. You can say that this is the power of dua, and someone who will do injustice with anyone, he will face the music. So these 2 points, like dua, power of dua, like Hazrat Said did against her, and she lost her eyesight. And the second thing is never do injustice with anyone.
That's perfect. With me as well, like when I was watching it, there was mentioned more and more points, and he said, I'm going to repeat some of the stories which I mentioned a few weeks ago. And I don't know if you remember, you guys, we talked about Hazrat Umar's story. But this time he went into even more detail. He even talked about the actual verses which were recited and which Hazrat Umar read himself. And it was so powerful for him to, out of all the verses in the Holy Quran, he picked out the verse which Allah is speaking directly. It says, surely I am Allah, there's no God but me. And when someone is reading that in that time, who is all his life has been worshipping 360 idols, for someone to be reading that there's only one God, it affects them a lot. So and he even said afterward that the companion said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ was praying for either you or Abu Jahl to accept Islam. And when he heard that, it broke him down. But I can't believe that he prayed for me, and literally the next day, this happened to me. So it was incredible to hear again the story, but in a different kind of way. So Jazakallah Razak, awesome again every week, keep delivering, and it's really nice to hear what you learn. And I think we should start a new thing that if we learn something in a khutbah, we should try to keep that with us the whole week. And then the next week we should say how we actually learn from it and how we use that in our life. And then I think that would be really nice to continue and to connect last football throughout the whole week, inshallah.
Nice.
Okay. The next guy, Zaid. Always nice to talk about Tabligh. Always nice to know what's going on with Tabligh. Last week, alhamdulillah, we had a groundbreaking, I think, show with Ahmed Saab coming on and telling us about, you know, his life and persecution and how he knows Jamaat. And we should highlight that bit as well about how he spoke about Dr. Abdul Salam. I think that was a really incredible point that he made about how he came and he represented the culture of Pakistan with his Achkin and his Jinnah cap and everything. So Zaid Sahab, your department is probably more important than anything, especially at this time, especially talking about black rights and all these kind of things. There's a few programs that are going to happen as well in the next coming weeks. Next Friday, we have a talk about human rights held by Pan African Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, the PAMA. I think we should all try to join that as well. And the week after that, there's another program held by the West Midlands on the same kind of topic. I think I'm going to be giving a talk on that as well. So inshallah, we should try to connect those programs well, because it's going to happen around the same time as Khuddam night. So let's working around that and taking part in both. So Zaid Sahab, sorry, just a small introduction before you start.
So, sorry guys.
Thanks.
So most of you would know, myself, but the ones who are unsure of who I am, my name is Zaid Janjua. I'm regional Nazim for Tabligh on our region, West Midlands. So today, I'm just going to basically share a slideshow and just going to go through some of the things which we are basically covering at the moment with Tabligh, and just kind of a catch up as well. So where we are, how we doing, and what we should be kind of be doing as well in regards to Tabligh and also in other things as well. So I'm just gonna share the screen. Yeah, so today the points that we will be covering in Tabligh, just wanted to introduce everyone to Tabligh Help Desk, which is available on Telegram. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through the Tabligh trainings. And also, just as I said, I wanted to kind of make everyone aware that, where we are with regards to our region, what kind of our targets are as well, because I think it's important for everyone, not just myself, not just the Nazimeen who are in Tabligh as well. Every person in our region, they should know what is expected from our region. So it's very important to know what our expectations are, and if we are actually doing them, and how we can do them as well. So just going to touch on that as well, and how we can get involved in Tabligh as well. And some might think Tabligh might just be simply just preaching, but Tabligh is in many forms. It's not just one form that you can do Tabligh in. So inshallah, I'll try to cover these points, and inshallah, you'll be able to catch some points different. So first one is Telegram. Yeah, so this is our Tabligh help desk, which Majlis Khuddam al Ahmadiyya has created from the Tabligh department. And the reason for this is I'm just going to quickly read this out. So it says there, so a group for regional and local Nazimeen to share about Tabligh activities in their area, so in our region. So you can also use this group to ask Tabligh related questions. In order to do this, you must type the following query, region, and then type your question. So it's a very good, this group is very good, and I wanted to recommend this to everyone. I'm recommending it to all my Nazimeen as well in the region, and it's not just restricted to to the Qaideen or to the Nazimeen and so on as well. It's also you guys are also, anyone in the group here, you're also welcome to join this group as well. The link is right above as well. I'll try to share it in a minute. And with this, the good thing is with this is that if you have any inquiry, any burning questions that you might have, something that you're not aware about relation to the league or anything like that, anything, I'm not sure, anything that you might have, any questions, you can simply ask down here rather than, I don't know, like, just kind of forget about that question and it doesn't come up to your mind. So if you have any questions, you remember it, simply just kind of type it on your phone and query it on this help desk. So this is made for all the Khuddams, to kind of get involved. And this is, again, another platform for us to benefit from. The next one, I'm going to be going through the Tabligh training. This week, we've had two trainings on. We had trainings from the national department, which was the Tabligh talk. And then we also had our regional Tabligh discussion as well. So the first one I wanted to kind of cover was Tabligh training, which just was the first part. This is the first part which happened last Sunday. And it's going to be a 10-part study where we're going to be covering how to kind of preach to non-Ahmadis, Christians, I think it is, and atheism as well. So at the moment, the first program, Naseem Bajwa Saab, he kind of covered, where do we stand as in Tabligh, and what's the importance, and what we should be doing, in order to do Tabligh, and before we even do Tabligh, what we should kind of consider. So as I said last week as well, I was sure that he was going to mention about the Tabligh guide, which I'll try to point down here. So the Tabligh guide, this is accessible on Google as well. So you can literally go on Google and type in Tabligh guide, and this this book, which has been written by Naseem Bajwa Saab, it's very good. It's got great knowledge in there as well. And it's also one key thing that he mentioned from this book is 13 steps of successful preaching. So this is steps which I believe Naseem Bajwa Saab has made, and kind of like things how to, when you are doing Tabligh, what to do, what to prepare yourself for, what to do, and like, for example, how to set up the stall, what to look out for, make sure you have refreshments, so on. If you're inviting someone, make sure you take care of them, make sure you pray before you even go out there. So these are all the things he mentioned during the program as well. I can't really obviously cover exactly every fine detail of what he covered, but also the Tabligh discussion, this is available on YouTube for you to watch as well. And by you watching that, you can understand the points he's mentioned in clearly. Some of the points that I wanted to mention that he mentioned, which are very important, these are the 4 points. I've just put them down as number 1 to 4. So he went through these 4 points, which were, the first one was that, as he mentioned about the 6 articles of faith in Islam. So he covered that. He covered the 5 pillars of Islam, what we are as Muslims, what we should be doing, what actually what is our who we are, basically, and everything. So these are like literally the basics he kind of covered. And then he went on towards the 10 conditions of Bai'at, and also finally mentioned that about doing Bai'at in the hand of Khalifa as well, and why that is important. So these are very key, some basic points as well. Like, for example, the conditions of Bai'at. This is something that we all do regularly on Jalsa as well. So, we do the hand Jalsa, and Jalsa we get so lucky that we do the hand on Khalifatul Masih. So these are all the points that he mentioned there. And some of these points as well, like 5 pillars of Islam, these are literally the basics you might think, but this is the foundation of our religion. So it's very point. He got literally to the basics and kind of refreshed our memories. Obviously, I'm sure we all know, but these are the points that we should always refer back to when we are, doing Tabligh. So it was a great show, alhamdulillah. It was a very good success as well. And I request, everyone who's involved in today's program as well to try to spare some time to watch the video on YouTube, which is available as well. The next one is the Tabligh discussion. This is organized by our region and also by West Midlands. Midlands region, yeah. Midlands region. So at the moment, last week we covered on Holy Quran response to science. So I remember a few weeks ago, some Khuddam mentioned that to me, that that at the moment we have a lot of our friends, they don't really believe in religion. They kind of forget in religion. So it's important that we kind of remind, we Khuddams know how to speak to those individuals, because a lot of our friends at the moment, they're not into religion. They're just like on the worldly things and getting on with the worldly stuff, and kind of relate to science more than to religion. They think religion is just the old thing, and science is is the answer, and it has a better answer to everything. That's what that's what is in their minds, obviously. But alhamdulillah, we are blessed as Ahmadi Muslims, that we know that the teachings of the Islam and the Holy Quran, which has been revealed to us, is correct. And even what's mentioned in the Holy Quran, about the Big Bang. This is some points that we covered. The 4 points we covered in the main 4 points that we covered in this week's training were, the mention of Big Bang in the Holy Quran 1400 years ago, and now scientists are kind of getting to know about the Big Bang, and they still don't know what kind of happened and what did not happen. But it's actually says in the Quran, we open the mass and we close it. So all of this is in the Holy Quran. But these scientists think that they know everything, but it's already been mentioned 1400 years ago. And who would think that this kind of someone would have that kind of a brain at that time? So it's impossible. So when you are also preaching to your friends, when you're speaking to them, do advise them that nothing is that crystal clear. You have to have some sort of a faith. You definitely have to have some sort of a belief, because religion is more about faith and science is more just about facts. But you have to have a bit more faith inside of you to kind of get down to the ground. So so these were some of the topics that we covered. We also covered the chance of planned evolution, as I mentioned as well. Nothing can just happen itself. So also about human embryo, which is mentioned in the Holy Quran as well. And finally, the video for atheism, end of atheism. This is by Rational Religions. So this is definitely a good video for you to watch by Rational Religions. They've made a video of how you can kind of respond back to atheist people who have, who obviously they don't believe in religion at all. So sometimes it's very challenging to answer to them. But by you watching, this video and the points that they have mentioned in Rational Religions, you'll get a good knowledge of, yourself as well, who we are as Ahmadis, and what's mentioned in the Holy Quran as well, and how you can respond back to them. So that's the Bleak training. This one which I wanted to cover was our targets for our region. As I said earlier on, that I think it's very important that every single member, we should know what is expected for our region. It's not just up to myself. I can't obviously achieve everything which is listed in this box here. I have to kind of get the whole region involved in this, and by us all working together can we only achieve this. So so some of our targets at the moment, which I wanted to kind of highlight it as well, it's the media outreach. It says number, the expectation of views, this is 56,000 views. And you might think it's a lot of views, but when you actually think about the Twitter campaigns that we've had just in the last couple of weeks, we've had so many campaigns during Ramadan as well. Every week in Ramadan, we pretty much had a campaign going on. So if you imagine all the Khuddams just from our region who were involved in it, the amount of time they retweeted something and they forwarded something or they liked something, and all of these things that they were involved in, and someone just viewed it. So, if you look at it from that point of view, I can't really obviously tell you where we are or how many people have physically saw every single view. That's hard for me to tell, but I'm sure, we're doing a great job with that. A lot of Khuddams as well, they're getting really involved with this. It's very good. Obviously, one of our main targets, which is there, is the leaflet target, but unfortunately, due to the situation, we're not able to do leafletting. So, the focus has changed a bit more towards media and how to do tabligh in other ways. And alhamdulillah, we've had very great successful tabligh campaigns on Twitter, which have happened as well. And we've also covered a lot of tabligh trainings as well, which is some of the targets down here as well. And we're getting a lot of participation, alhamdulillah, through these trainings as well, such as right now as well. Right now, there's quite a few Khuddams who are joined in this as well. This is a part of your training as well, I would say. So, this is some things that I wanted to cover. This is some of our targets. If anyone wants this graph, if they want to see this, if they're interested in what our targets are, what our expectations are from our region, please just let me know. I'll forward it to you straight away. So it's not just for me to view, it's for you guys to also know, what our expectation is from us. And and finally, I wanted to tell you that, how to get involved in tabligh as well. So, there's a lot of ways that, you might think tabligh might just be, I don't know, preaching to someone, that's it, full stop. But it's not that. Tabligh, we can do it in so many different ways. As the first one, there's allegation. I think, Rabbi Sal, we're doing allegations today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Allegations we're doing today as well. So, covering allegation, understanding the allegations which are posed to us as well. At the end of the day, when you tackle allegations, there's some knowledge you understand from the allegation which has been, raised, and then what is our defense against that? How do we argue against that? So this is again a great knowledge. This is again a great tabligh as well. Social media, tabligh we can do to our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, and etc. Leaflet distribution and training as well. And also, I've got some pictures down here of the blood drive, which we are. I think the blood drive day, World Blood Day, is 14 June. And we've also been instructed by Centre as well to try to get as many as Khuddams to at least register right now to donate blood. So if I request all the Khuddams who are on this as well, please, just literally go on your phone when you can, obviously when you're free later on, go on your phone, go and give blood, and go on the website, register yourself, by today if you can, please, and get involved in this as well. And you might be thinking, why am I referring back to this as tabligh? Because, when we are doing these khidmat activities, such as the one of this one here as well, when we went for a Royal Navy, I think it was, and when we supported them, when we do these kind of activities, these are physical kind of activities that we have been involved in, and someone can see the work we have done. Just if we are just simply just preaching to someone, and we're not literally acting, physically by it as well, it doesn't really, I don't know, for me, it doesn't really equal up. So when you are physically giving a physical example that you are literally, doing that great service as well, you're giving blood or you're helping someone physically, they see it. That is a great tabligh. Believe me, that is like, from my opinion, I really like that kind of tabligh, because that tabligh, someone can really see you and they can see, what, this person is really doing it from his heart and he means it. He's not just saying the words, he's actually at the front, he's physically there as well. I just wanted to kind of also share this picture here as well. This was just, I don't know, 12 years ago. This was me, my dad, and my brothers. This was at a station in London when we were doing tabligh. My brother shared it to me a few days ago. So I just thought I'd just share that with you guys as well. This is just one way how you can do leaflet distribution as well. And alhamdulillah, I was involved in tabligh then as well. And it's great looking back that, still I am. So yeah, that's just a little sneaky one there. Jazakallah for listening out, guys.
Exactly, that was wicked, man. Hopefully that we can all organize something and go do blood drive together. I think that'd be fun. If we can all organize one day maybe, where we can all go. I think it might make it fun as well, and then we can all continue like Dom night in a different kind of way in the hospital or something. So Jazakallah, man. Alhamdulillah, we said at the beginning that we couldn't have a guest because unfortunately due to COVID-19 in Pakistan, he wasn't able to come, but through prayers and through opportunities and Allah opening doors, We have a very special guest that's come on and has joined us all the way from the other side of the pool, all the way from Canada. We have, I think, Rashid Sab, the brother of our respected Mubaraz Ahmed. He's joined us all the way from Canada. I'm sure we'll find out more about him, but to my short knowledge, he's a radio presenter. He's very active or he was very active in his university as AMSA, and so we have him on today, and he will just be talking to us and how he ended up in Canada last week. We had a very interesting talk from Mubaris, and now we'll have the other side of the coin of Rashid Sab.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Alaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I was just walking and Mubarak sent me a message that you have to be on the line. And I said, okay, yeah, for sure. That will be my honor. And I was actually listening or watching your program, Khuddam Talk, last week. And it is amazing. MashaAllah, you are doing amazing job. And I really inspire with the work which the Tabligh department is doing. And all the young Khuddam are very active. So, MashaAllah. And Barakallah lakum, Rabbi Saab, for leading this program.
Jazakallah. So for it's all prayers, we're just bringing all the boys in, and it's nice to be together and to do things that we enjoy doing anyway. So it's nice that we have an online version, and to have you come in from Canada, it's opened more doors, and this lockdown has really taught us a lot about how we can use our materials and our tools to bring more people in. So Jazakallah for appreciating that. Rashid Saab, I just wanted to hear your story really. With Mubarak, we had such an interesting perspective of, the persecution in Karachi and how he traveled to Rabwa due to that persecution. So what's your story? How did one end up in England, one end up in Canada? We know
Yeah,
it's very common for Pakistani families, to end up either in Germany, UK, or in Canada. So we've had
yeah,
all three really.
sure. Rabbi Saab, definitely. I was thinking actually to comment last week too, but I didn't get the chance. So Mubarak and myself are actually two different personality before moving to Canada. I will say that he was very extrovert and I was very introvert, and I think my parents can also rectify that I was very shy, and but by the grace of Allah, actually I was one of the, I think, first kids in Jamaat in the blessing scheme of Waqfeno. So my Hawala number was 41A. I think due to that blessing, I have learned and I have get so many blessings from Allah Ta'ala. And as Mubarak mentioned that our family was persecuted. At that time, actually, I was in Canada and I was serving as president of AMSA, University of Saskatchewan at that time. So it was very difficult time for our family. But if I will see now and the blessing which we have got so far, it's pretty amazing. And you can see the blessing of true Islam. And as Mubarak was mentioning that, the relationship with Khalifa work, like what's the importance of relationship with Khalifa work. So whatever I have achieved in my life, I think this is due to the blessing of Khalifa Waqt and his prayers. So, so my short journey, I will try to summarize. So, I moved to Canada in 2012 as an immigrant, and after working in a retail industry, I realized that I might have to go back to university. And this is actually a blessing moment because that was fazal of Khuda Ta'ala, I will say that because I never did IELTS exam and I was not good in English. But I think I would like to share that story that how the prayers of Khalifa Waqt actually happened into my life. So Hazur actually visited Canada in 2013, I believe, so or maybe in 2012 in Calgary. So at that time, I have only maybe $500 in my pocket, and but I really want to meet with Hazur and see because that was the life moment for me, and I booked the ticket, and people were actually laughing. Even my some of my cousins were laughing, like, "Oh, you have only $500 and you want to spend, and what you will do next?" you have to pay your rent. And I said, I will manage it. Don't worry about that. So I went to Calgary and I meet with Hazur and I share my comments like, Hazur, I really want to study here because I'm in the blessing scheme of Waqf, and I want to pursue my higher studies here. So Hazur comments was that no worries, inshallah सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा और अगर आपको पैसों की भी ज़रूरत पड़े तो मुझे बताइएगा. So I think the turning point of my life starts from there. I came back and I checked my mailbox and I saw that I was actually accepted for Edward School of Business, which is one of the top school in Canada at this time. So Alhamdulillah. And then I think I never find any financial crisis or financial issues in my 8 years of life. Alhamdulillah. And because the words actually comes out from the mouth of Hazur Anwar Eid Talab Nasri, so it should be happen, and I know that it will be happening. And then I decided, okay, like I will spend my whole days and night in serving Jamaat. I was doing actually Jamaat work back in Pakistan too, but after that, actually, it gives me more motivation. So in 2013, I was accepted for University of Saskatchewan, and I got the blessing that I was elected as EMSA president for University of Saskatchewan. So we did a lot of campaigns and very successful campaigns, as Janjua Saab was saying, that how we can pursue social media and different platforms so that we can engage Ghairas Jamaat and other people towards Jamaat. So in 2013, I believe, Murabi Saab, you will know that there was ISIS issues going on, and US Jamaat actually started to stop the crisis campaign. So, Alhamdulillah, University of Saskatchewan at that time actually took that initiative, first initiative in Canada, and then other universities actually follow us. So, Alhamdulillah, our campaign was very successful. I remember that I was giving interviews to many big outlets, CBC News, which is government media channel for Canada, CBC, CTV, Global, you name it. Like I might have given 25 different media interviews at that time. And Alhamdulillah, this was the blessing of Khuda Ta'ala and also prayers of Khalifatul Masih, because I was sending him letter every day. And it was a tough moment. You will not imagine that I was sitting in a live interview at Global News, and they were running news that how ISIS is doing disaster in Middle East countries. And they were asking me, like you are talking about Islam, and like your motto is love for all, hatred for none. But on the other side, I can show you that what's happening in Middle East, and these are the Muslim countries. So it was a difficult time, but I think we did a lot of preparation with Murabi Saab and national team, and we did a good job. So, and due to those activities, actually, after that, we did meet with Muslim family. And again, like from Saskatoon, actually, it was it started, and Alhamdulillah, my family was the first one in Canada to start that initiative, Meet a Muslim Family, and we gave again so many interviews to media outlet. And Alhamdulillah, in 2014, there is a EMSA Excellence Award for Canada. So Alhamdulillah, University of Saskatchewan was given EMSA Excellence Award in maybe like there were 30 different universities in Canada. So among those, we were the first. And currently, I am serving as Secretary Tabligh for over Saskatoon Emirat. And uh, you might have seen from last 2 years that First Nation communities, the people who are wearing, big crowns on their head, and so they are coming. Yeah, Aboriginal people, First Nation people. So they are coming from Canada, and Alhamdulillah, again, this was. I think I got the blessing to start that program too, because I can share you that story too. That Sadr Saab Khuddamul Ahmadiyya Canada was visiting Saskatoon, and he was saying that, oh, last year we actually took a lot of Khuddam for volunteer work, almost chartered plane to UK for Wakari Amal. We want to do, Rashid Saab, again, something unique where Hazur will be happy and excited from us. So we were thinking, we were doing brainstorming, and then I realized that Hazur came in 2016 in Canada, and his wish was that we will create a strong relationship with Aboriginal community. So how about we will take some of the wafad or guests actually from Canada to UK, London, UK, because that's the wish, and we were getting keep reminder messages from Hazur Talab bin Nasir Aziz that we have to make a strong relationship with them. We have to make good relationship with the youth members as well. So I was serving as indigenous coordinator for Saskatchewan, and then I actually invite them. So I will tell you right from a straight that we were not thinking, because it was very short time, almost month left for Jalsa, and then we made that plan, and then we sent letter to Hazur. And for the First Nation community or Aboriginal community, it is very difficult to motivate them to go to religious conferences because of their background. They were persecuted by Christianity and other religions, and but it was hard. And then we wrote letter to Hazur, and Alhamdulillah, I have connected with maybe 5 guests, and all the 5 guests were ready. So we we actually got that blessing to actually bring guests from First Nation community to the Jalsa Salana as well, a couple of years. And this year we were wishing again to bring some guests from First Nation community. I hope that we will be able to get rid of this pandemic, and then we will be able to join Jalsa Salana hopefully this year. Otherwise, we will join next year. And regarding radio show, there is a story, because every motive has a story behind that. I hope I'm not taking a lot of time from you
No,
guys,
no,
because
no.
I know like
Platform is yours, Rasab.
limited time. So the story behind radio show is that I also serve as a Humanity First coordinator in Saskatchewan as well. So there was a Syrian refugees campaign during the time of 2016, when Syrian refugees were coming to Canada. So I was invited by Pakistani Canadian Cultural Association for a radio show, and I I was nervous, because I told that guy, like the host of that radio show, that you are inviting me, and you will be in danger, because maybe they will take your radio show from you. And but he says, like, we are liberal and we are living in Canada, so don't worry about that. Come and give the interview. So I gave the interview, and after maybe a week later, he actually calls me and he told me that, you were right, man. Even we are living in Canada, but still the thinking and everything is same. So they actually took my radio show. So I was embarrassed, and I was thinking like how we can do that show again, and we can promote Jamaat as well, because there was no platform at that time so that we can do radio show, because other Gharas Jamaat Molvis were coming into the radio show. And so I thought, okay, let's do something. So I did brainstorming with my other friend who is in Edward School of Business at that time. So we decided, okay, we will start a radio show, which is very similar to the theme of Voice of America, or Voice of other Voice of Canada, or I think Voice of Islam is going on in UK as well. So we decided, okay, we will start something like that. So we decided and select the name of Voice of Saskatoon, because Islamic perspective directly is not allowed in CFCR, which I'm doing it because it's a Canadian government radio show. So we decided to change little bit the theme of the program, and then we sent that proposal, and alhamdulillah, it was approved. And I can see that radio show, PCCA, Pakistani Canadian Cultural Association radio show, and myself, Voice of Saskatoon. So we got, alhamdulillah, many viewers and listeners, and everyone actually appreciate our show. Even sometime mayors come, mayor of city come, sometime police chief came. So they really requested us to come to our show, whereas their show, I don't know where it went. So you can see the blessing of like Jamaat, and also the prayers of Khalifa Waqt. So this is my short story. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
I have one question regarding this Aboriginals. You told me one story. I want you to share here on this platform as well. that these aboriginals like used to smoke something, and on Jalsa Salana what they did.
Yeah, I think that's a very inspiring story. And actually, Hazur Anwar Ayatollah bin Nasir al-Aziz also mentioned that story after Jalsa Salana of 2018. So we took actually Aboriginal guests for the first time. And this is their ritual, or, like religious thing, that they usually smoke. And they whenever they go for a big gathering, they smoke and then they pray, because that's their part of the religion. And so I think the first session was going on, and Hazur was giving the khutbah regarding, like how we can serve our mehman or guest during Jalsa Salana. And he also mentioned that, I have learned that the weather around this area is very dry, so I will recommend that do not smoke around the Jalsaga. So my guest, he's the chief for Waterhen Lake, very big chief, and he make more than Prime Minister actually of Canada. So he was listening to Hazur sermon as well, and then he came to my side and he says, Rashid, I want to tell you that this is, although this is very mandatory in our religion, but from now onward, I will not be smoking during whole Jalsa Salana.
Inshallah.
And I was very impressed by his words, and I actually write that letter to Hazur, and then it was mentioned in the Friday sermon as well.
Inshallah. That's incredible. I was actually going to ask you about the Aborigines. As you are also the Tabligh secretary, how do you continue that relationship? Because personally, I've seen that looking after just one who converts to Islam or is in contact with Islam is it's almost impossible to continue that work. So, as a Tabligh secretary, how do you manage that? How do you keep all those people in contact? How do you keep asking about them, or do you invite them to all your programs? So just interesting to know what happens after Jalsa Salana and how they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, so I think regarding Tabligh, what I have learned and what I have listened from different Khulfatu and Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala during his Majlis Irfan, he has continuously mentioned that there are different ways of Tabligh. So first is like you contact with someone and then you pray for that person days and night, that may Allah Ta'ala change their heart and they can accept the true Islam and Ahmadiyya. So what I really do is I really contact with people, and again I told you that I was very introvert, but due to the prayers of Khalifa Waqt, I will say that I become extrovert now, and people have to stop me whenever I'm talking. So feel free to stop me whenever I prolong my discussion too. So yeah, like I think prayers are very important for the person who you are doing tabligh, and I also say that connections, because one-to-one connection is really important. First thing is social media. Whenever we talk about social media, this is a great tool because we have to spread the message of Islam to many audience. But after spreading the message of Islam, the other thing is that how we are following up with someone. So in the past few years, we have organized maybe 15 or 10 big programs where we have invited more than 300 non-Ahmadi guests in our programs. So whenever we invited them through social media or different channels, so we really take their feedbacks, and if we ask them, like, if you don't mind, you want to give us your phone number or your email address so that we can follow up with you. So we really do follow up with them. And then again, like when you are making your friend, and when you want to make your friend really close and near to you, then you have to follow up with that person. How are you doing? Do you have any difficulties, especially right now and during pandemic? Like you can contact with that person after 2 days or 3 days, asking them. So once you will ask them, then they will show the interest back to you as well, because I know that I got messages from chiefs and counselors few weeks ago about Jalsa, because it was a memory Facebook, like a great tool. It always shows you the memories that Jalsa was going on during this time, or we were going to London at this time. So I usually share those stories and ask them, like, what's your thoughts are. So one of the chief's son actually went last year, and he actually sent me messages couple of weeks ago about um, the visit of Jalsa Salana, and he sent me the picture of his, himself with Hazur, and he says like, this is my lifetime achievement or lifetime moment in my life, the picture with Hazur.
Hmm.
So, like, this is the way you can prolong your conversation. And also, Alhamdulillah, we are blessed with a very big mosque in Saskatchewan of Prairies, one of the biggest mosques in Saskatchewan. So what we usually do is, before pandemic, we usually invite non-Ahmadi guests at our mosque every weekend, that you can come and see our mosque. So whenever they usually come to see our mosque, they usually see Hazrat Masih Maud salam picture. So they usually ask like, oh, who is this person? So we usually try to explain them like, oh, like he's the founding member of Islam Ahmadiyyat. And then we prolong our conversation. So we really do one-to-one. And then other thing, Tabligh is connected with so many activities. So Vakare Amal is the other thing, like New Year is coming and you have to clean the streets in the city. And then Khidmat Khalq, I think this is one of the biggest tool to do tabligh, because during pandemic and before pandemic, we were doing, like we were every month we were providing free food to the homeless people in Saskatoon. So this was, like a big story in Saskatoon, where, like there are many homeless people living, and always we got media highlights on the top, like, oh, what Ahmadiyya Muslim community or Ahmadiyya Muslim youth is doing it on a monthly basis. And then blood drive. So when you are doing blood drive, Canada Day celebration. So, of July 1st is our Canada Day celebration, and one of the biggest event in I think Canada is in over one Jamaat, like the Peace Village Jamaat. They really do the biggest event. Pakistan Day event we do in like again Peace Village. Even I think Ambassador of Pakistan actually joined us 2 years ago, and he was in trouble, but he has to come because there were 10,000 people or more than 10,000 people gathered outside the mosque. So these are the different ways. And then dua is really important. Whenever you are doing one-to-one tabligh, you have to pray for yourself and the other person as well.
Rashid, I have one question. I think Janjua Saab has one question. Okay, Janjua Saab, carry on.
Please, man. Please let me, man. Body's way. Rashida, Assalamualaikum. Just as obviously you've referred back to Khidmat Khalq activities and relating to Tabligh as well, and I also mentioned to the same in my presentation as well. One thing which really gets my eye as well is that I remember I read this on Twitter as well, and then this was also mentioned by Hazur as well in his Friday ceremony as well a few weeks back. So this was the incident when I think there was one Khadim, who was very engaged, and apparently he received some sort of a communication from some external person from the Jamaat, and it was obviously not MD and so on. They needed some sort of medicine or something like that. It was they needed some assistance to get this medicine, and they could not get it. And this particular Khadim, I believe, I'm not sure, it was night time, 2 in the morning or something like that, a very odd time, where he literally went to a complete different whole city, traveled, I don't know, 2 hours or something like that, so on, what it was, to get this prescription for this person. And he delivered it to this person. I think it was a lady, it was at the time. So I just wanted to ask you, I know it's been mentioned it was being mentioned by Hazur as well, and it's also been mentioned by Sajjad Saab, Khuddam and his Twitter page as well. I saw that, and that's how I kind of came across this. What I wanted to know was that how has this impacted, and what kind of impact has it had this on the externals, not Jamaat people, externals in Canada and so on, basically? What's the response been to this one single activity?
Well, I think a single incident can change your heart, and like you cannot win the war through a sword, but you can win the war from your act. So these are the words from Khalifatul Masih Rabi Rahimahullah Ta'ala. And as you mentioned about the incidents, so there are actually thousands of incidents in Canada which we have seen and witnessed from our eyes. And I am also actually serving as Nazim Khidmat Khalq for Prairie region as well. So we usually see those incidents in the WhatsApp groups, and everyone is sharing those incidents. But the incident you had mentioned, and which was mentioned by Hazuri Anwar Rajatullah bin Asrul Aziz as well, and it was the incident that one lady was actually looking for the medicine and she was not able to find it, and then the guy, like random person, and that was her comments, and then random person from Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association came and helped me. So she was atheist, and then she says that I was not believing on God before this incident, but after this incident, now I believe in the God. So you can see that very small incident can change the life of the people too. And I think Alhamdulillah, neighborhood helper campaign is going amazing, and they are changing the perspective and thinking of non-Ahmadis, especially because whenever we post something, and again, due to pandemic, our volunteers are not thinking about their life, but they are thinking about others first. So this is amazing, and everyone appreciate it. And even Prime Minister of Canada also mentioned before a month ago about Humanity First initiative too, like how Humanity First Canada is helping people out door to door. So I think you can see that this is indirect tabligh. Whenever you are doing those type of acts, people would like to know, like I know, like my followers, or like who knows me, they want to know that what is Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association. When I post that information on the radio show, people were asking me like, oh, what do you guys do, and tell us a little bit about your Jamaat. So I think that's the starting point. You can get this spark right away after this act, that tell us about your Jamaat, what they're doing. So
So, Rashid, one more question. Tell us about how you met this Justin Trudeau.
well, this is also amazing story. So um, I was actually AMSA president at that time, and like due to those activities, I was very well perceived by university management and other people. And again, this is a blessing of Jamaat. Like I was nothing, nobody knows me before AMSA president. So when I was serving and I got award from AMSA Excellence Award, it was actually highlighted in many media outlets too, like CTV News was covering me, and like university magazines were covering me. So these are again, the way for Tabligh. And whenever I got the ways to Tabligh, I feel, like happy and honored that I will be giving interviews and, spreading the message of Islam and Ahmadiyyat. So Justin Trudeau was coming, and, Mubarak, you actually bring a topic. Like I feel embarrassment sometime too, that we were taking class and we took out from the class, and I went directly to that event, and I was the first person actually was allowed to go inside into that hall. So nobody was allowed to go inside before security check, but due to my connections, I was able to go inside. And then they asked me like if I can sit along with or beside Justin Trudeau. So again, like I don't know anyone, but they asked me. So embarrassment part was that my professor was also in the line, because he was trying to go inside and he was sending me email like, Rashid, I want to go inside too. But unfortunately, I saw that message after that. So again, one thing was exciting, but the other thing was embarrassment that I was not able to help my professor.
Okay, last question from me. Last question. Can you tell us about the pandemic thing, which your wife is doing in Iran, and which our mother, who is watching this, is doing in Saskatchewan?
Well, I think I forget about that important thing, which I will be very proud of my wife. First thing, most of the people may not know that my wife actually lives in Iran, so she's very fluent in Persian language, and she got the blessing to actually translate Kashti Nu in Persian language. and she did the translation of Kashtiyanu in Persian language, and Hazur actually, Talab National Disease, approved that translation last year in Jalsa Salana. So Alhamdulillah, that's the blessing. And short and long story, I think our whole family was persecuted and is still living in issues. So my wife is still a refugee, and she's living in Iran from last 13 years. And again, I think if you will see, the upbringing of any kid is due to the upbringing of their parents. So I think all the credit goes to my mother, because how she spent a lot of time on us and involving me, because I know when I was kid, she used to take me to Waqfino program. And again, her aim was always that you have to come first in Nazam, Tilawat, Taqreer, everything you have to be first. So she spent days and night on me, and I think this is uh, due to her work, and I think a motivation that I am doing and work for Jamaat. So
That's incredible, Rashid Saab. It was amazing having you on, and you're always welcome to join every week and give us some of your inspirational words that you have. As it seems like you're learning a lot, and we can always learn from everyone's experience. And alhamdulillah, we are going to different nations now. We're moving out of the Midlands. We are at the heart of England and maybe the heart of the world. So it's nice to be spreading out to different corners as well. So Jazakumullah Jaza for joining us. And as I said, you always do. And Jazakallah for sharing your experiences with us. Guys, we have so much to cover. As this show is so jam-packed and there's so many segments that we like to cover. And it's always nice having people coming on to talk. But now, Hamza, we'll go to you quickly. Hamza is our, in his own words, expert. He covers books of Hazrat Masih Islam and other Jamaat books. So it's always nice every week to go over a new book. So Hamza, we told the people what we were covering this week early enough for them to read it and to catch up. So let us know a bit about the book that we were supposed to read this week.
Assalamu alaikum, boys.
Wa alaikum salam.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So, as Murabi Saab already mentioned, the book we're looking at today is Star of the Empress, and it was written by the Promised Messiah alayhi salam in 1899 on the 20th of August. He presented it in a similar context to the views from his previous book, which was A Gift for the Queen, and it was written for Queen Victoria's Jubilee anniversary. In the book, he gives thanks to the British government, firstly, for granting peace and security and freedom in terms of religious freedom for its subjects. He then clarifies issues such as the coming of the Messiah and the Mahdi and the false concepts surrounding this Mahdi as well. And he reiterates constantly that this Messiah, he won't be a violent or forceful person in his means and his methods for spreading the message of Islam. He then also gives further clarity on the concept of jihad and why the concept of atonement in Christianity is also false. So essentially the aim of the book, in a very respectful and short manner, is to first thank the Queen and then give her the message of the true Islam in an appropriate manner. So just to give a bit more context for the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, one of the allegations that obviously has been mentioned today by Zaid Saab as well, one of the allegations on Ahmadis have against Promised Messiah alayhi salam was that he was working for the British government. And they sometimes criticize him for being so thankful and grateful to the government for their rule over India at the time. And this book helps to explain why we are actually so appreciative to them. So there was an Indian rebellion in 1857 where the Mughal emperor, so this was predominantly Sikhs at that time, they were forced to relinquish their power. And then the British government decided to transfer the British India from the East India Trading Company, which is like a company that works based on money, to transfer that power from them to the crown. And Queen Victoria at that time, she condemned all the violence and the atrocities from both sides, from the British officers and of the rebels as well, as many villages were laid to waste and many innocent people lost their lives as well, including the well-known city of Delhi at that time as well. She then transferred that power from the company to the state with an emphasis on generosity, love, and the key thing, which Messiah Islam always reiterates, is religious freedom and tolerance. Prior to the transfer of that power to the crown, the Mughal emperor and the Sikhs of the time would inflict a lot of abuse and persecution on those of other religious backgrounds, including Muslims. And again, the Prophet ﷺ, his father and his grandfather, they were also suffered a lot of hardship due to this rule, which I'll get onto in a later slide as well. So then he begins the book by praying that Allah Almighty bless Her Majesty the Queen in every single sort of way. He then reintroduces himself as the Prophet ﷺ, as Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, and he mentions that most of the inhabitants are very appreciative of the Queen and her rule. And this comes from the comfort, again, that they're enjoying in the sense of fairness and love for all of her subjects, regardless of religion or ethnicity or anything else. He then mentions the book he wrote previously for Queen Victoria, A Gift for the Queen. He was hoping to get a response from her of some sort, but unfortunately he didn't receive one, which again was why he's written this book, to refresh that concept, that idea from the previous book. He then goes into more detail on his own background. So as mentioned at the start, the Prophet ﷺ was from a noble Mughal family of the area of Punjab. And as mentioned earlier, prior to the Sikh reign, his ancestors were rulers of their own independent state before the Sikhs took over. He then mentions his great grandfather, Mirza Ghul Muhammad, who was, he mentions in the book, was a very wise and brave person with a lot of noble characteristics. And he was actually considered for the throne to Delhi at one point. But due to the coming reign of the Sikhs and other powers at hand, this proposal didn't actually get approved. And then many atrocities were committed against Muslims, to the point where by the time the rebellion had happened, there were only actually 5 villages remaining that were predominantly Muslim in that area of India and in Qadian as well. And then his father, Mirza Ghulam Murtada, who was also a great well-wisher of the British government, he was also willing to actually provide aid to the British in the rebellion. And after his death, the Prophet ﷺ then detached himself completely from worldly matters, as we know, and then he became very occupied with tabligh and preaching the true word of God Almighty and Islam. And then, as mentioned before, he mentions many prayers for the Queen, and this is just one of them. For example, there's quite a few in the book, but this is one. O God, keep this august Empress of India, may her sovereignty endure, safe, and may she reign long over us, and let the shade of your succour protect her at every step, and prolong the days of her prosperity. And then he goes on to his claim as the Prophet ﷺ, and he explains how both Muslims and Christians believe in the advent of a Messiah and a Mahdi. There's also a prophecy regarding the peaceful reign of the Queen, that this peaceful reign is also an indication of the advent of the Prophet ﷺ. And he compares his coming to that of John the Baptist in the form of the second coming spiritually of Elijah. And in the same manner, he's also the second coming of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. Then he also describes that when a sovereign or a ruler is well-intentioned and they genuinely care for their subjects, then a spiritual person is always sent to the earth according to the strength and desire of the ruler who wants the best for their people. And he compares this reign of Queen Victoria to that of Caesar of the time of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. And Caesar, obviously, it's a name that we're not all we know the name, but we don't know that much about that person. He was also, in the time of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, he was a very good person, and he was completely against cruelty. And that Caesar also wanted the welfare and the freedom of his people. So he makes this comparison with the Caesar of Jesus alayhi salam's time with that of the Queen Victoria's goodness as well. And her goodness, her intent, and her genuine sympathy for her people is like that of Caesar. Hence why the Prophet ﷺ was raised among her people in her time. He then goes on to mention how the Messiah ﷺ to come will serve as a judge and a distinguisher between truth and falsehood. One of the names given to the Prophet ﷺ is Al-Hakam. This is also one of the attributes of Allah the Almighty, and it means an arbiter or a wise judge. He then talks about the word Nazareth, as in Jesus of Nazareth, and it means spiritual freshness or vigor. I think I pronounced that right. He links this to his village, which was originally called Islampur Qadi Maji, and the Qadi aspect of his name, that means judge. So then this can then be linked to the Prophet ﷺ being the final arbiter or judge of God. And then with this village, when it became a self-governed state, it became known as we know it as Qadian. And again, the main point from this comparison is that both Nazareth and Qadi are spiritually important names. So Nazareth means spiritual vigor or spiritual health/freshness, and the word Qadi means spiritual judgment or arbitration, which again was the task of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. He then goes on to talk about the current state of Muslims who have somehow concluded that jihad means to murder innocent people and to forcefully propagate the faith. Alhamdulillah, the work of the Prophet ﷺ has somewhat clarified these misconceptions, but he relates to the Queen that there are still some who believe this to be the right way of spreading Islam. He then refers to the Quran, which clearly condemns such actions, and that religion should be spread through the pious model and through the character and the actions of its followers, and not through force. And then he reiterates to the Queen that Islam was never ever spread by force at the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The sword was only ever used in self-defense and to establish peace. He then condemns the idea that the Messiah will be such a person who will force people to accept Islam, as such a person is meant to have the essence and character of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam in every respect. And looking at the life of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, we know that such violence and force can't be attributed or associated to this Israelite prophet. And then after the Muslims, he talks about the current state of Christians who unfortunately have attributed the word curse to the Messiah alayhi salam, who, funnily enough, in the same gospel, he's also called the light. So then he explains the concept of lan or lanath, which comes in both Hebrew and Arabic actually, and it signifies that the heart of the person is rebellious and completely separate from God, and such a person is essentially wholly impure to the point where they also become he describes it as subservient to Satan. And then he questions the heart of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. He questions, did Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's heart become like this? Did he become an enemy of God? And obviously the answer is no. So this is a very grave mistake on the part of the Christians. And then he draws reference to all of his arguments and reasoning for Jesus alayhi salam, that he did not die on the cross and that he was an innocent person. And he mentions the statement from the gospel that his condition will be similar to that of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam or Jonah alayhi salam. Hence he emerged from the tomb alive, and in like manner Jonah alayhi salam emerged from the belly of the fish or the whale alive. He also draws the Queen's attention to Kashmir, where the tomb of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam has been located, and all of the evidence surrounding his journey from Palestine to Kashmir. And he again draws reference to the details of Jesus alayhi salam in his book Jesus in India. And then finally he finishes the book again thanking the Queen for her laws, which draw people of all nations together in peace and unity and harmony. He briefly mentions again that to die on the cross is an accursed death, and this can't be associated with Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. And he refers her to the prayer that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam recited at the Garden of Gethsemane, where he's supplicating to God that why he's forsaken him to die an accursed death, and that in this desperation his prayers were heard and accepted by God Almighty. And he again thanks the Queen for her peaceful role, which is allowed for all of the tabligh of the Prophet ﷺ on many issues, and that spread across the country and eventually throughout the whole world. And then he just finishes with the prayer on our screens now. O Lord, keep our Empress of India forever happy in all respects, and may it be so that a higher power from you draws her to your everlasting light and enters her into an eternal and everlasting tranquility, for nothing is beyond you. Everyone say Ameen. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Thumbs up. 17 pages.
That was it.
You can see that we just literally covered the whole book, but every week all the pages are different. Sometimes it's 80, sometimes it's 50, but the amount is the same. And you could probably have talked about this much longer, and especially the prayers of Hazrat Masimo to the Queen. I think that's a very beautiful thing and something for us to learn from. In fact, just as Rashid, you were talking about your Prime Minister in Canada, you know, how amazing they rule their countries. In the same way as Masimo knew that, and he saw that, and he saw how the Queen is a good person at heart. And so we should always remember that. We should always, especially in these times, not go against our government in the ways that people are going. So Jazakallah, Hamza, again, was very beautiful and very beautifully put, and the way you managed that. We're looking forward to the next book. Before you decide, let us know so that we can also read up on it as well.
Yeah, inshallah, I'll let you know soon, inshallah.
Hamza, I just wanted to ask you again. I remember you asked me about your friend who's
Yeah.
Did you find out anything about it?
So
just give an introduction to everyone.
Very briefly, Ismailis, they're a branch of Shiaism. So obviously Shia, for those who don't know, Shias are very split into various different sects as well. And in terms of being Ismaili, they, similar to other Shias, they believe that Hazrat Ali was the Ali ibn Talib Raziyallahu anhu, he was the first Imam. And then following on from him, there are 12 Imams in total. And again, in like manner to us, they believe in one divinely appointed leader, but it's a bit hazy because some Shias believe in this Imam. They have a general consensus with about 4 of them, but then it tails off into other ones as well. But there's the difficulty comes in where sometimes to these Imams, and I was about sometimes they attribute like godly powers to these Imams as well. That like the world can't live or the world can't exist without these Imams being alive. So the difficulties their hadiths, they don't the hadiths that we consider to be the most reliable ones, so say Bukhari and Muslim and things like that, they don't consider those to be authentic and reliable. They have their own consensus on which hadiths are the most reliable, written by their own Imams as well. So it's very difficult in terms of doing tabligh to Shias because their concepts are quite different. Whereas again with Sunni Muslims, we follow the same hadith, same Quran, so we can discuss with them. But with Shias, especially because Shias split up into so many sects as well, it's very very difficult to do tabligh them without prayers and getting your knowledge base up as well.
Yeah, but I see you shaking your head. So have you ever come across Ismaili?
Yes, because from last 7 days after that last Khuddam night, I am continuously in contact with my friend. 10 years. My friendship is like more than 10 years with him. I want him to invite on this show today, but due to some reason he could not be able to join. Like main Shiaism, 7 days I'm continuously sending him. I have 30 page that proving 30 times from Quran Hazrat Isa alayhi salam has been died. So I have 30 ayats with a PowerPoint presentation with each and every hawala, reference, everything. I sent him and we reviewed together on a call and we did everything. And after that, he was amazed. And the main problem with Shiaism is like their beliefs are based on tariq, like a history. They are not relevant to exactly to the Quran or Hadith because they're Baharul Anwar, and they have their own Hadith because they don't believe on Sahih Bukhari because they said that 20% is like authenticated Hadith in Sahih Satta, the 7 books of Hadith. So mainly their concept has been built on Tariq, like history after Khilafat. So they don't believe on any like for Khulfa Rashidin. They don't have a concept of Khulfa Rashidin. They are saying that their Imam is in the world, but he is invisible till now. But I prove him that Jesus has been died according to the rule of Kullu Nafsin Zaikatul Maut. So he is died according to that rule. So that's mean that no human being with his body can live in this world for a long lasting time. So in this way, this is you can say dalil for like proof for Hazrat Isa died, and the proof as well for what they said that their Imam is invisible and he's in this world, he's hide somewhere. So
yeah, he's hiding somewhere in a cave or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's known as Imam Ghaib. So the disappeared
Imam.
Imam.
So by death of Hazrat Isa, that body cannot live in this world for long lasting. Same applied to that Imam Ghaib as well. So when we are proving that side of Wafat Masih, we can same implement on the Imam Ghaib as well. So they're basically you cannot discuss or you cannot argue with Dalils and with Quran. Their all beliefs are based on from the Karbala, from Banu Umayyah, Banu Hashim till the Yazid and Amir Muawiyah. Their history is like on 10 to 20 years after death of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They on this base of 10 years and decade after death of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, their all beliefs are there. And Hamza was right that they have Ismailis. Some people from Shia sect believe that God has eaten 9 siparas of Quran. There are actually 39 siparas. So there are a lot of beliefs. So yeah, there are shirk as well in Ismailis.
Luck for that information. Just could you ask him as well if he believes in Waqia Kirtas, about the incident of Kirtas? Because with this, a lot of Shias base everything on that, and that's when the Holy Prophet was about to pass away, and he appointed basically Abu Bakr as the Khalifa.
Exactly.
But
he sent me something interesting that regarding Hazrat Fatima, that what Hazrat Abu Bakr Nauzubillah did like zulm and like torture Hazrat Fatma and Ale Bayt, and Hazrat Umar torture, and Babi Fidak Wakia, the Babi Fidak, Jange Jamal, the fight between Hazrat Aisha and Hazrat Ali, where 10,000 Huffaz was shaheed due to a misconception only. From that thing, the Ummahatul Mu'minin Hazrat Aisha, for themselves, she is not right and she is not on the right way after Rasulullah death. So that was a clear Jange Jamal. If you read this thing, it's very interesting. That was a misconception, and after that, everything was fine. So they believe a Jange Jamal, Baghi Fidak, and they have not given the rights to the daughter of Hazrat after his death. Hazrat Abu Bakr snatched everything from her, or these type of things. These are not based on Quran. These are not based on Hadith. These are based on Waqiyat, story. In Quran, it's showing that Asatirul Awwaleen told people stories. So their Shiaism is only based on stories. So you cannot compete with them on the stories. They can make any story about anything. And our measurement, whenever you are doing tabligh, you should have some measurement scale with the other person. That my measurement scale is, whenever I'm doing tabligh, my measurement is first Quran and then Hadith. I will prove first thing from Quran and relate with Hadith, and both will not contradict with each other. This is my measurement scale, and then I will invite other person. Okay, with Ahmad as well, I did the same with Saklan, the guy from Karachi. He's a pure Shia, like he's the center of in Karachi. His house is the center of Karachi for Shiaism. It's Imam Barga as well. So for him as well, I did that, and I invited him for today's show, and his whole family stop him to go and to talk to me as well. And I have a friendship of 10 years. He didn't know about me, that he knows about me that I am Ahmadi, but he never revealed on me. So I know that everyone knows that I am Ahmadi. So we know this thing. So last time after this Khuddam night, I directly called him and I said that, guy, see mate, you know that I am Ahmadi. He was laughing that how you are saying so bluntly. So I said I have a mission to bring you into Khuddam night. But ultimately, his family stopped him to not to discuss anything because he will lose his iman.
Yeah, just to finish my point, So with the Waqi Kittas, they thought that the Shias say that the Holy Prophet ﷺ was going to appoint Hazrat Ali as the Khalifa, but Hazrat Umar basically stopped him and said, "Look, you're too weak to say anything. Just rest." And they basically wanted him to write. He's about to write something down that Hazrat Ali would be the next Khalifa. So from stopping him, they said Hazrat Umar stopped him, and they stopped him from him appointing Hazrat Ali as the next Khalifa. So they used this to negate that Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, and Usman are all false Khalifas, and it should be Hazrat Ali. So that's another thing. But if you look at the Holy Quran says that "Baligh ma unzila ilayk," that you have to preach everything that I have taught you. And so if the Holy Prophet ﷺ didn't do that, that means he didn't complete his mission. But as we know, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, right up to his death, he completed everything that Allah the Almighty wanted him to say. So we also say that if that is true, then he didn't complete his mission, but he did. So alhamdulillah, we also believe in all the khulafa, and that's what we have to try and teach the other sects, Shia sects, Ismaili, and everything. So that's just another point that Hamza you can also throw in there to tell your friend as well. So it's good that everyone has different friends, people talking to different kinds of people, but it's always nice to find the right answers to give. I think that leads us nicely onto Nasir as well. Hamza, you mentioned about the 30 verses in the Holy Quran. Nasir is just going to talk about the meaning of tawaffa and how to prove that it means death. So Nasir, for the preparation, let's see what you got.
Now, I just want to say beforehand, the same way Mubarak Saab said that his friend lost contact with him, in the same way, I was discussing Ahmadi with one of my friends, and he was discussing with one of my other friends, and he said to him, don't talk to him about this subject, about Islam. He's going to brainwash you, and you just avoid it. And I think Gerba was telling me that you should say the same about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that they shouldn't engage in conversation with him just because they're going to brainwash him or do magic, because of that teaching was so powerful, but they're still like the same. Okay, let me get on to.
Sure, that some people are scared of listening to the truth, so they'd rather just ignore it instead of listening to it.
Yeah. Okay. I still need someone to make me an logo. You know, I'm still stuck with this one. Okay, so this week's statement is Jesus didn't die. Allah raised him to the heavens. Who are you to say otherwise? So this is what one of my friends has also said to me as well. And this is when I was quite young and I didn't know exactly how to tackle it. And now finally I can. So this Quranic verse, chapter 3, verse 145. And Muhammad is only a messenger. Verily all messengers have passed away before him. If then he die or be slain, will you turn back on your heels? And he who turns back on his heels shall not harm Allah at all. And Allah will certainly reward the grateful. Now, so this is like a clear-cut translation, but what it is, I think some Ghairemdis, what they do is they change the translation instead of all. Can you see this, the lines or no?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to show off my Surface Pen. So they take all to other, but in the same way how we use all as like Lord of all the worlds, you know, like a similar sort of context to that. So they changed to some, but us we've got all. And I think the context of this, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, was that I think during the Battle of Uhud, there was false thingies going around that Prophet Muhammad had been killed. But then this verse was revealed saying that, you know, even if he was to die, just like every other prophet, are you then just going to forget your beliefs? So it clearly shows it wouldn't say, oh, no, you know, he can survive just like Jesus. It didn't say anything like that. It said that everyone else has passed away. So, yeah. And then there's this another verse here. I won't read it out because it's short on time, but here it says, cause me to die. And this is the word here, Tawaffadani. And this is where the people, we say die, but others say raised. And see, I like drawing here. So now I'm going to prove that obviously it doesn't mean raise and it does mean die. So again, if you simply just Google it, this is what comes up. And when I saw this, I was just baffled, thinking, why am I even doing this if you can just Google it? But even with the other dictionaries as well, the Arabic lexicon, and they all agree with the same. And these are the supporting hadiths. So if Jesus and Moses had been alive, they would have had no choice but to follow me. Jesus, son of Mary, lived for 120 years, and I see myself as only entering upon the beginning of the 60s. And the last one, it's to do, I'll quickly summarize it. It's just to do with when the Prophet Muhammad passed away. They read that first verse that I said, that I mentioned. And again, not everyone had a consensus that that all the other messengers had passed away. And no one there brought up that, you know, Hazrat Isa is still alive or anything like that. So it shows that there was, you know, there was no, they couldn't turn back on that. And then the contradictions of the non-MDs. So the evidence I've shown above does prove the point that Jesus Islam has passed away with the Quranic evidence and hadith. And then just like the translation of the Quran demonstrates that just like every other prophet, Jesus Islam has passed away and his second coming is in the metaphorical sense. So saying he's alive and defying all human qualities, it gives the Christians that concept that of the Holy Trinity and him being God, it supports that. So in a way, that's not Islam, that's just going more towards Christianity. So further on, let's look at how these non-MD sites, they themselves translate verses of the Quran, which further prove their contradiction of falsehood. So for example, now this is the funeral prayer that we all know, and I think it's here, Dua Faithni, and again, that obviously it means to die. So if they are translating it to mean die, why they're not doing it in the previous verse there? Again here, chapter 3, verse 194. This is their own, they've wrote here, cause to die. And again, it's tawaffana. And again, this shows that they just change, they're picking and choosing when they want to use that same word. And again here, in chapter 2, verse 235, it's the same thing, that it means passed away, but again, if it means passed away here, then why doesn't it mean it over there? And finally, the Prophet, this was a challenge that he gave, which is still unmatched. It says, if anyone can cite a single instance from the Holy Quran or Hadith, or from an ancient or modern Arabic poetry and prose that the word tawaffa, when applied to a human being, God being the subject, has been used in any connotation other than death and taking possession of the soul. For instance, in the connotation of taking of the body, I bind myself an oath that I shall pay that person 1,000 rupees in cash by selling some of my property, and shall always hold him in high esteem as a great scholar of the Holy Quran and Hadith. Jazakallah.
That's what did you learn from that then? What was the new thing that struck you?
To be honest, can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
I was looking at this, and as Mubarak mentioned it as well, it was this is over 30 verses, all of this. I wanted to put all of this in there and just go, next slide, next slide, next slide. Can you see this or no?
Which slide are you on, sorry?
Can you see this?
You're still on Hazrat Masih Maud's last slide, is that the one?
Wait, hold on 1 second. There, can you see that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the MD answer site that I was looking at, and I was thinking, okay, how am I going to find these verses, and then all of these just scrolling down, and then I was thinking, oh God, which one do I use now? So it's quite shocking, and still in my head, I say this every week, I don't understand how people can just look away at this when it's just in your face, like everything is there, like for you to see, and I don't know how someone can just refute all of this. And I could have talked about every single one of these, but then I'd be here till tomorrow. And again, I could probably do this as well in another session as well.
Did you say these are the 30 verses?
Yeah, so I can send the link if you want. So I think it's more than 30 here. So
Yeah, yes, please send it. Yeah,
I'll send it. They're all here, and then even if you click on each and every one, it gives a little summary and
These are the different topics of different things.
I just wanted to say as well that on this particular allegation, it's a very interesting allegation, obviously. If I remember when in Azam Tahir Ahmed's Majlis Irfan, as he also responded to this as well. He said that, when they say that Jesus, he's not passed away, he's still, he hasn't passed away, is what they claim. What his response was that, why does God need to break his own rule? God, he doesn't need to break his own rule to make one single person exist. So, why would he initially break his own, he'll make the universe, and then he'll be breaking his own rules as well? It doesn't make sense. He's a creator. He's, everything he does, there's a reason behind it. There's no need for him to break his rule of, saying that one person, he's not dead and he's going to come back. So that just literally just takes it out. So if we are literally, if that's what they are if that's what they are saying, the Ghair MDs as well, then they are literally not even thinking about the basics as well, and they're actually kind of challenging God's things as well, like even God's the way he's made universe and everything. They're actually challenging that. So it's just, there's no common sense in that, in a way.
There was a verse as well that it was talking about how I think Jesus is saying something about Isa and his mother. They both eat food, and I can't remember exactly.
They both used to eat food.
Exactly.
I think it's Surah Nur Ayat 56. Surah Nur Ayat 56. I want to add one thing for 1 minute. You mentioned the Surah Maida Ayat 118, chapter 5 verses 118. Kuntu alayhim shahidan ma dumtu fihim falamma tawaffaytani kunta anta raqiba alayhim falamma tawaffaytani. Scientifically, medically, from every study, it is proof in this sentence. It is the statement which Isa is giving at the day of judgment. If he will come back in this world, he saw this Trinity concept. When he's stating at the end of the day of judgment, he's stating something else. He is lying to God, na'udhu. And second thing, here, Tawaffaitani means Gharaz Jamaat, which I was discussing with my Shia brother. He was quite confused about this. This Tawaffaitani means which MD took, Ghar MD take, live, three things, live, with body, and towards the sky. They took three words from there. Zinda Jisam Samit Asman Par. Live, towards the light with the body towards the sky. Are these three things proved from that ayat? And Hazrat Isa is stating that statement at the end of the day, like at the end of the world, if he will come back, he will see that they have made three gods, and after that he lying to God. Na'uzubillah. So this is the thing in so chapter 5 verses 118 is everything, because in one majlis, as Zaisa mentioned, that la sunnatullahi tabdila, that sunnat of Allah will never change. Kullu nafsin zaikatul maut is a rule, so everyone has to face that. That's it.
I think we should give Mubarak Saab my section.
No, that's really good. So nice to work on one aspect. We can talk about this for many hours, just the word tawaffa, and we could have gone into all those 30 different ayats, and we could also talk about how they use it, and it's used in many different ways. Even when we say Allahumma bismika amutu wa ahya, these two different times where we only use it where it's referred to sleep, but the rest of the times, the 21 other times, it's used for death. So we can talk about it more, but we have so much to cover. That's already telling you so many allegations that people are doing against the Jamaat now. I think not many people raise these allegations anymore because they've been answered, and people know that we have got one over them because we do it through the Arabic dictionaries, and that even the Arab scholars, they all have testified to the fact that it means death. So they're really clinging on to hope. These other Muslims of if it has to mean he is raised, it has to mean he is raised, because if it doesn't, then our belief has been crushed. So yeah, that's it. Jazakallah. I just want to share quickly something. Alhamdulillah, we have this opportunity to have Khuddam night during the week, but at the same time, I'm doing classes every day from Monday to Sunday. So Jummah, we have Khuddam night on that day, on top of Huzur's khutbah, which is of course the main thing that we are learning from. But Mondays we have Tahsin al-Quran lessons. Tuesdays we have Tarjumatul Quran lessons, both in Urdu and English. So try and join that. We're uploading onto YouTube every day. Also on Instagram and everything, you guys can follow that. On Wednesdays, we have Arabic lessons. So I've started Arabic lessons. I've just done 2 lessons now. On my 3rd lesson next week. So it's starting from the very basic. Mubarak, I know you lived in was Abu Dhabi.
In Dubai.
In Dubai.
Anna from Emirat.
MashaAllah. So it'll be good to refresh your knowledge on Arabic and try to learn how to speak it. And I think it's really important to know that, because it's directly after the Tarjumatul Quran lessons. So it'll help you learn your Quran translation as well. Thursdays we have started a new series of learning 40 ahadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ from 40 gems of beauty. We have covered 2 hadiths now, so try to catch up with it. Every week we're doing 1 hadith and explaining it for 10-15 minutes. As I said, Fridays Khuddam night, Saturdays same thing with Hazrat Masih Maud going through Malfuzat. And on Sunday, if anyone has any questions, send them in, and we answer them every Sunday. So these are just some important things. Of course, Zaid Sahib as well is already mentioned on Wednesdays. I think the timing's changed now to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock now has been changed.
I'll update this post as well. So Wednesdays, we have the belief training. But I think Khuddam is the best of all of them, because we get to do everything, all of these in one go. So we're learning both Arabic from Nasser, we're learning the belief, we're learning some Tarbiyat things, and sayings of Hazrat Masih Maud. So all that, and that's why I always call it a jam-packed show, because there's so many things that we cover. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Now I'll just I'm covering thingy today.
Nasir was saying something.
Yeah, there was a video that I forgot to mention that we want to play. I don't know if you want to say that for another week. The video that I sent you.
We can play it if you want.
It's up to you if you think we can stay for next week or this week.
Well, yeah, let's play it. Why not? It's in Urdu and English translation, so we can just play that for a bit. Just 1 or 2 minutes, right? Will that be okay?
Yeah, whatever you think is better.
So in the meantime, while we load that up, can everyone just join the Kahoot? I've sent the code already. No, I think I'll run it today. Is that okay? I'll run it, but yeah, I'll run it. Don't worry.
Go for it.
I haven't looked at the questions yet, so I'll try to take part, but I'll be nice this week. So this is the. We'll just keep that. Nas, do you want to play the video on yours?
Can you do it? Because I haven't got it loaded up. Wait.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I sent it to you on WhatsApp. Let me try and open it up.
Let me just join the Kahoot thing. We have Alhamdulillah, Jesus has come back to us in a different form. So the code is 7004825.
Joe, I don't know where to like play this from because it's all really good. Isn't it? Like,
It's a really good video. You can post the link to the video as well.
Yeah.
We can watch the rest after, but just play 1 or 2 minutes just so we get a taster of
okay, well, hold on. Let me just.
of what the video is about.
Okay.
It's a very passionate one as well. I think it was in Khalifa Rabi's early days when the persecution was quite rife on the Jamaat.
Okay. I don't know exactly where this is, but let me just.
Yeah, just share your screen and then we can do that. But in the meantime, everyone just let me just see who's joined.
Can everyone see that?
Zakir, we have five people on Kahoot so far. Yeah, we can see that.
I can hear it.
इस बात पर झगड़ा खत्म हो जाता है। अगर हजरत ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम को तुमने जिंदा उतार दिया तो खुदा की कसम मैं और मेरी सारी जमात सबसे पहले बैत करेंगे। सबसे अव्वल बैत करेंगे। हम पुराने अकीदों से तौबा कर लेंगे और ईसा के आगे भी लड़ेंगे और पीछे भी लड़ेंगे और दाएं भी लड़ेंगे और बाएं भी लड़ेंगे, क्योंकि हम तो हाँ करने वाले आमन्ना व सद्दक ना कहने वालों में शामिल हो चुके हैं। लेकिन ये भी मैं तुम्हें बताता हूं कि अगर तुम्हारा ईसा, अगर वो फर्जी ईसा जिसको तुम पेश कर रहे हो बफर्ज महाल अगर जिंदा आसमान पर भी गया है तो वो उतर भी जाएगा तब भी तुम उसकी मुखालफत करो। तुम्हारे मुकद्दर में मुखालफत लिखी गई। ये झगड़ा क्यों तय नहीं करते इस तरह? क्यों दुआएं नहीं करते? क्यों खुदा के हुजूर माथे नहीं रगड़ते कि बहुत बड़ा इख्तिलाफ हो गया, दुनिया कहीं से कहीं पहुंच गई है, खुदा उस ईसा को भेज। तुमसे तो इस मामले में यहूदी बेहतर हैं कि आज तक दीवारे गिरिया के पास जाके सर पटकते हैं और कहते हैं कि ऐ खुदा उस मसीह को भेज, उस एलिया को भेज, जिसके बाद मसीह ने आना था। तुम्हें कोई हसरत नहीं, कोई दर्द नहीं तुम्हारे दिल में इस्लाम की जिंदगी का। ईसा तो ईसा, अभी तो दज्जाल का गधा भी जाहिर नहीं हुआ जिसके ऊपर बैठकर दज्जाल में सफर करने हैं और हलाकतें फैलानी है दुनिया में। फिर जाकर कहीं ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम की बारी आनी, कहानियों में बस रहे हो, हिस्सों में रह रहे, आज तुम्हारा कोई भी ताल्लुक बाकी नहीं रहा।
I'll stop you there for now, but honestly, everyone should watch this. Like,
Yeah. I
that's
think you got me gripped there. I think I'm gonna go and watch the rest of it later. I think Rab is so passionate, and it's like he stands up and defends the whole of Islam. And the way he talked about the Ghair Ahmadis like being even worse than the Jews, you know, they're dishonoring the name of Islam. That's how do you feel, man? I think it was really good. How did you find that? Was that on Ahmadi Answer's website?
yeah, it was obviously speech done a long time ago, but I think this is the best one because it's got all the English.
It's on his YouTube page as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, it's like really passionate.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. It's sick.
I've seen it. You know, forget it. You know, and then
It's sick. It's sick.
it's just scary. Like you just couldn't stop.
It's really, for me, it's really scary listening to because
Gives you chills.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Khalif Rab's personality is so different. Like his emotions, you can see it in his voice. But as you know, we're living in different times. I mean, a Khalifa is for different times, and we're living in a time where we need to be patient with everything and pray. And Khalif Rabbi Rahimullah said as well, why aren't you praying? Why aren't you fervently praying? You should be praying for people and for yourselves. So that's it. And he said that point again, I think we mentioned it last week or the week before, that if Hazrat Isa does come down from the sky, you know, Ahmadis will be the first ones to accept his bet. And I found that so amazing, you know, because it's such a illogical thing, but even then we will accept it because we believe that whatever Allah does, He does according to His rules. So, mashallah, it's amazing to do that. So now let's just quickly go to Kahoot. let's try finish before 8 o'clock. And inshallah we will. Give me a second. Let me just put this up. Today I'll be the Kahoot master. Jesus is back.
Oh, who is that?
Sorry, boys. I'll try to fight off Jesus. And unless I think we're 7 people, right? I think that should be okay. Nas, what's that?
Listen, I don't know what that is.
MashaAllah, Nas got a new plate number on his car.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yes.
Yes.
Hamza, sorry man, I forgot to mention. I wanted to tell everyone as well that mashallah you've graduated and become an official dentist.
Yes, old news, Murabbi Saab. Old news, don't worry about it.
Can you just tell us a little bit how it happened? Because I know it was a bit different this year because of the lockdown.
So we were on placements until mid-March, and every dental school runs a little bit differently. So, but by 5th year, most students will be on placement pretty much, if not every day, 4 or 5 days a week. And then mid-March time, I think most universities, or within a week or so, got all closed down. Everyone got told to go home because of coronavirus. So I'd done some of my finals beforehand. Actually, I only had one more presentation to do, which we did online again through Zoom. So doing all of these things helped with that as well. And then we got the result. Every school will get the results different times, but within around June time. Then alhamdulillah, I got a result on the 1st of June saying that that I'd passed and got my degree. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, man.
Inshallah, we'll invite you into K-Talk soon, inshallah, when you start.
I thought Qaid Saab's already done dentistry. It's been done to death. Done to death.
You can give your, in his own words, talk in the dentist. You go, Jazakallah, bro. Quickly, let's just get this done. This was prepared by Zariyab, so all credit goes to him, and all mistakes also go to him.
वालेकुम सलाम
Walaikum salam, Basir uncle.
क्या हाल है हमजा
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, Basir uncle.
congratulations डॉक्टर साहब आपकी
Jazakallah.
The first question is, when did Hazrat Umar have? What did Hazrat Umar have in his hand? The first time he visited the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was the extracts of the Holy Quran, a lamp, sweets.
Sweets, man. I would have sweets in my hand.
So yeah, so I think the person with the extracts of the Holy Quran is when he took it off his sister and he was reading, and it was from Surah Taha, and Hazur mentioned the verses today. So he did have a sword, but it was because he was in such awe and he was in such amazement of the verses that he just read that he forgot to put his sword back into his sheath. So that's why he was holding his sword. MashaAllah, and this is up there. Let's go to the next one. How many years did Hazur, beloved Hazur, spend in Ghana before he was Khalifa? 6, 7, 8, or 9? So 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, or 9 years. So it was in fact 8 years. Just at one point, during his time in Ghana, he used to travel on this van, and the van was called a bone shaker. So in the accent, they call it the bone shaker. And I was watching the video and I was trying to think, what are they saying? Because it was said in such a funny way. But it's called the bone shaker. So basically, with this truck, it doesn't have any brakes, and it goes on such a rough route that when it's going, it's shaking so much. Hazur was explaining, when you get off the van, you don't know which part of your body is hurting more. So that's why it's called the bone shaker. And people would even, the way they would stop the car is they would crash into a wall because it didn't have any brakes. So this was the condition which Hazur was living in Ghana. So it's really amazing to know that. Who is the parent company of Rolls-Royce cars? So is it Bentley, Mercedes, BMW, or Lexus? Who is the parent company of Rolls-Royce cars? Ooh, most people chose Bentley. So it's in fact BMW. I can't speak much on this. My knowledge isn't great, but I guess it's BMW. No one got it right. How many folds in a chef's hat? 25, 50s. This is such a typical Zaryab question.
Also, the copy or something else he would have wrote.
Wow, 100. I did not think that. Most people chose 50. That's something new for us to know. I don't think our chefs wear hats, to be honest. This is sneakily up there. Sorry, Harun. Translate min sharri ma khalaq. So this is a verse from the Holy Quran. Min sharri ma khalaq. Min sharri ma khalaq. MashaAllah. So it means from the evil of that which he created. Does anyone know which surah that's from? Bonus question.
Surah Falak.
There you go. MashaAllah. MashaAllah, Nas, you got it. Oh, Dr. Nas. The index fingers are different lengths. True or false? The index fingers are different lengths. I'm guessing it's on your both. Ooh, it's false. So index fingers on both your hands, if you check it now, unless you have abnormal hands, they are the same length. Doctors are this cheating, man. Hamza, you know we have to be now. This is the standard of a dentist. Most popular boy name in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, Oliver, Ryan, Chris. Daniel, Oliver, Ryan, or Chris.
Hamza,
The
what was
most
your cake
popular
like?
name in the UK.
Say again.
What was your cake like?
It was nice, bro. Proper nice. Buttercream.
His cake like proper dentist uniform and stuff. It was quite funny.
MashaAllah. So basically, one person got it right. Bidi Saab. MashaAllah. Question 8. In what year was Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III elected as Caliph? In what year was Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III elected as Caliph? (1962, 67, 65, or 66?
Are you sure it wasn't 62? Jallo. Oh, my
Again,
bad, wrong.
behold Zaryab.
I thought it was 62, but Jallo.
Bro, so about to write a letter to Hazur then, innit?
Slugs have 4 noses. True or false? Slugs have 4 noses. I don't even think if they had noses or not, to be honest. It's true. Wow. Okay, that's something new for me. Quick fact there. Nice.
Oh no.
Jesus is slowly coming back. Taking his time though. In which year was the Ahmadiyya Muslim community established in the UK? In which year was the Muslim community established in the UK? 24, 1899, 1912?
12.
Oh.
It was, in
I
fact.
think it was Fazl Mosque, which was in 1924, wasn't it, or something like that?
I think that's right. I think that's right.
That was. I think that's what might have been a bit confusing there. Yeah.
Tricky question there. Playing with our memories. What was the profession of the father of the promised Messiah? Was he a lawyer, physician, an imam, or a writer? So was he a hakim? Physician. He was in fact a physician. MashaAllah. H. I'd like to think that was me, but it's not. The dark horse of this week. The Promised Messiah Islam was the survivor from twins. The Promised Messiah was a survivor from twins. It was in fact true. He was born with a twin sister who passed away. So that's a good fact to know.
And I think her name was Jannat as well.
Acha.
What country will the World Cup be held in 2022? This is
Frame, yeah, frame, defo frame.
open for question. England, Dubai, Qatar, or frame? What is frame? Harry's definitely going to get that question right. KFC is older than McDonald's.
Nah.
KFC is older than McDonald's. False. Harry's definitely going to get that one right. What is the meaning of Al-Muhaymin? What is the meaning of Al-Muhaymin? The protector, the healer, the most gracious, the holy.
I reckon the healer.
It was in fact the protector. Nas coming after you. What nation drinks the most tea per person? Pakistan, China, or Turkey?
Oh,
What?
really?
Oh, I didn't think that. I thought it would be China.
I thought
Yeah,
Pakistan,
same.
man.
I thought they had a higher population. That's why.
Yeah.
It's per
Chinese-
person, isn't it? It's per person, though, isn't it?
Turkey. So yeah,
yeah.
if anyone's been to Turkey, you'll see that they literally have turkey every second of the day. They're sitting outside having tea. After every meal, they have their green tea, presented in a very nice little glass cup.
Should have said which kind of tea, innit? Which kind of tea?
It's very competitive this week, mashallah. And the square root of 225.
Oi, oi, oi.
The 22, 25, 15, or 52. The square root of 225. We're on question 17. 3 more to go. Oh, it was in fact 15. Got that one right. I think we have a winner this week already. What freezes quicker than cold when cold? What freezes quicker when cold?
What?
Water.
Water freezes.
Water freezes quicker than cold when cold. Water freezes quicker when cold. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
Nah, I'll be the same, right?
Alhamdulillah, got that one right. Yes, boys. Trying to maintain my top 3 position every week. What is the meaning of Inni ma'aka ya Masroor? Surely you are the Khalifa Masroor. Surely you should listen to Masroor. Surely I am with you, O Masroor. Surely Masroor is the one to follow. What does Inni ma'aka ya Masroor mean? Red, blue, orange, or green? MashaAllah. Indeed, we are with you, O Masroor. What country has the most mosques in the world? And this is the last question of the day. What country has the most mosques in the world? This is a hard question. I got that right. I can't believe I got that right. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, India, and Iran. And India, in fact, I would like to get a figure on this actually. That'd be quite amazing to find out. India has the most mosques in the world. Just a point to point out. So today, third place, we have Anas. MashaAllah. First time he's taken part in a long time. Second place, myself. And first, I think this is the first time you won, Harry, by a country mile. And fourth and fifth, the runners-up, Biri and Nas. Jazakallah, everyone, for joining. Just past 8 o'clock now. It's been a very, very amazing show. A bit of a surprise guest on that today. So Jazakallah again for him to come on. Has anyone got anything to say, anything to ask before we close down?
I just want to let you know that all the previous Khuddam night videos, I have shared the link to the channel in the chat, so you can just follow that if you want to.
Jazakallah. And I think we're reaching out to a lot of people, so on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So a lot of the shows are going out, so people are watching quite a lot now, and people are asking me, what's this Khuddam night that's happening? So Jazakallah, we're trying to break each segment into different parts. So we have Hamza, your part, we have Nas's part, Jendra's part, and the Mubarak's one is doing really well as well. The summary of Fazul's Friday sermon. People like to just listen to a quick summary of it. So alhamdulillah, it's going well. We're moving in big directions. So we're requiring a lot of work behind the scenes as well, and a lot of planning. So Jazakallah everyone for contributing, man. It's all you guys. You guys are running the show. I'm just the guy that's sitting here. You're looking at for 2 hours. Nas, have you finally named your kittens?
Yeah.
This is Cuckoo. No, I'm joking. I don't know.
Has it gone to cuckoo now?
No, I think it's Kiki and in memory of Hamza's cat Kiara, probably.
Kiara's not dead, bro. Kiara's still what's wrong with you? Kiara's alive and well and healthy. I'll bring her in.
I never got to see Kiara actually.
I'll send you a video, Murabbi. She's not
Sleeping
here
last
right
time,
now.
actually.
I don't know when. I don't know.
When I
When was
came
last
that
time? Oh, no, she's out and about. She's always killing rats, man, and bringing them to us as gifts.
Can you come to my house?
Oh.
Don't get me started now, please.
Mm.
Let me just, before we go, just quickly, I usually get Regional Guide Sub to come on, but busy guy, man, busy guy. But just quickly go to the Evening Post this week. There's a lot of amazing articles that are coming out, misconceptions about contagious diseases. The blog talking about Salat and knees. So that'd be really interesting to read up on, and how it actually helps the knee joint praying. And an article about the way the Holy Prophet ﷺ tried to become his like. And more videos on the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And I think this is one show, Hayat Sidq Wafa, talking with Muhammad Ilyas Munir, who was a prisoner of the Jamaat for many, many years. He's now a teacher in Jamia Ahmadiyya, Germany. So it'll be interesting to listen to his story in prison. So these are just a few things from the Evening Post. There's so many things going on in Khuddam Ahmadiyya for you guys to get stuck into. So fill your days with good things, and let's make the most of our time. Tiga, Jazakallah guys. I think we'll call it a night, an official Khuddam night, because the sun is going down. Jazakallah everyone for joining. Really
Assalamualaikum.
nice to see you. Jazakallah Hamza. Jazakallah guys. Anas. Peace out.
Hey guys, assalamualaikum.
Alaikum. Nas, can you just stay behind for a sec? Just wanna.
Me?
Yeah, you Nas.
I'm going. Sorry, bye.
Gusa chale ja. How was it, man? Just quick feedback.
It was very, 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 very good.
I would like
Want to stop the recording, Rabbi Sahib?
Yeah, still recording. Shall I close it?
Yeah, go on. If it's finished anyways, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the feedback session.